you need truth and life. Here is the Brother Leon Show. You better recognize.
What's going on, listeners? This is your boy, Brother Leon, and you are tuning into another episode of the Brother Leon Show. So today, guys, let's go on in here. I am so excited today because today we are going to have our first international guest, and her first name is Glory. And so the one thing that I want you to understand and know is that, you know, I come off as a prophetic person on this platform, as well as the Brother Leon Show and Truth and Life Urban Ministry. So I'm excited today. I'm excited because when I hear my friend's name, I hear that scripture, Isaiah 40:5, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. And so the one thing that I want you to understand is that my friend, she is in Nigeria, and she is making a difference in Nigeria. She is an activist, an author, an educator. And what God began to reveal to me is that she's going to one day be an energy secretary. And that's the God knows truth, because she is making strides where she is right now. And that's the God knows truth. She's making strides in Nigeria, educating people on green energy, solar energy, because I'm going to tell you right now, man, that is needed not only for Nigeria, but also here for the States. And as we begin to move into renewable energy, green energy, as we begin to meet the demands of climate change, she is going to be a person who is very in high demand, but also she is going to be a person who is going to be that person to lead the charge, to lead the way. Because when I hear that name, Glory, I just see her leading people out of darkness and lead them into the light. Lead them into the light of education. Lead them into the light of possibility. Because that's what she is. That's what she does. Educating people. Writing books. And I mean, man, her resume is vast. And I had the pleasure of not only meeting her, but also her friends, the Mandela Fellowship. They came here to the States. They came to Delaware. And they were at University of Delaware. They visited with all types of people. And I had the opportunity to meet with that fellowship group. And I developed some really good contacts as well as friends. Friends that I still keep in contact with today via Facebook. And so our interview today is going to be via Facebook, because the time difference is definitely different when you got Nigeria and you have Delaware. So yeah, it's going to be very different. And so the one thing that I want you guys to understand and know is that God is opening up doors for Glory, but also for Nigeria to benefit from the expertise, the wisdom. Oh, here she is right now. Hey, Sister Glory, how you doing?
Okay, that's really good.
I was telling the listeners before we connected about what your name represents in the Bible. And so, yeah, and so it's just funny because you are a phenomenal woman whose first name happens to be Glory. And then I just read a scripture out of Isaiah, which says that the glory of the Lord shall be revealed and all flesh shall see it together. And so I just look at it, that scripture, your first name, and then what you do, because it's symbolic of you becoming a deliverer. And you are, you're in energy, you're educating people, you're an author. And so prior to this interview, I began to see you as an energy secretary. So yeah. I just want to say thank you, Sister Glory, for coming on here today. Let me give you some applause. So Glory, just for the listeners, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, of course. Leon, thank you very much for bringing me on here on this show. And thank you for that Bible passage that you quoted. I'm very excited to hear it. And I like the way that you just, give that little analogy around the glory of God, energy, and light. And that makes me very excited. So, hello everyone, to the listeners. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be talking with you today all the way from Nigeria. And I'm very excited to get to talk about my work here in Nigeria. My name is Glory and my last name is Oguegbu. I work in Nigeria where I am helping to promote access to electricity for up to 93 million people who lack access to electricity. In Africa, there are 600 million Africans who do not have access to electricity, and we have solar power in abundance. And I'm thinking, we have all this sunshine throughout the year. What can we do to better our situation? In addition to this, climate change is happening, and how can we use this one solution to solve two problems? And so we use the power of the sun to solve the problem of climate change and to solve the problem of lack of electricity. And I started an NGO at first, which is an initiative for economic empowerment. I think Americans call that a non-profit. I started it because I wanted to reach out to communities. I wanted to help to promote economic growth in communities. So I do a lot of work installing solar panels in villages and for small businesses, helping them to have access to electricity for their business and to promote education as well in terms of access to electricity. And that was how my passion first started. And whilst doing this work, I realized that a lot more people can actually benefit from this. Aside from that, a lot of opportunities began to come into Africa for the development of solar power projects because there are lots of people who lack access. And I began to think that, wow, a lot more people can learn about this and create businesses by understanding how solar power works. They could help to distribute the solutions through a small business. And I began to teach lots of people in communities around the value chains of solar power. Before that time, there was no one who was doing that in my country. Maybe a little here and there, but it wasn't so popular. And so I wanted to use my time, my talent, my energy, my God-given ability to reach out to people who might lack access to electricity and to also empower business persons who can spread access to electricity, thereby spreading joy. I hope that was not too long.
Oh, no, not at all. So let me ask you this. How did you get a passion for starting with green energy? I mean, where did your whole journey for green energy begin?
Oh, okay. Thank you for that again. It started because, first of all, I became an advocate for climate change. The reason was that I had come across a picture that frightened me very much. It was a picture of a human being who looked somewhat like a fish. I know it was a campaign by World Wildlife Fund, and the picture says, "Stop climate change before it changes you." I do know that there's a lot of talk around climate change, but I read the campaign and it says that the rate of increase in temperature is really rising, and a lot could be at stake if we do not tackle this issue. But what rang a bell for me was that in my country, Nigeria, a lot of people do not even know what you're talking about. They 70% of Nigerians have no knowledge about climate change. And I thought that I could educate students about it. Around that same period, I was born in a pretty decent town in Nigeria. My parents were both lecturers and worked in the university. They were teachers, right? But after a while, though, they moved into a different side of the town where they had built their own house. It was a different community from where I was born. And when they moved into this new place, it was a community that was off the grid. It means that this community had no access to electricity. There was no electricity at all in this community. And so my parents had to become part of the statistics of 93 million Nigerians who lack access. And I became very worried about this situation. At this time, I was already making a lot of researches around climate change. So I learned that solar power could be a solution to climate change. But the solar power, not just climate change, it could actually also help solve the problem of lack of electricity. I'm very excited. Here was I looking for a solution for one problem, and I also find out that this same solution for that problem can also solve this other one. I'm talking about both climate change and lack of electricity. And I thought that my parents could benefit a lot from solar power. So I decided that I would solve the problem for 70% of Nigerians who could begin to learn how solar power could combat climate change, and 93 million Nigerians, which is almost 50% of the country, who have no access to electricity. Solar power could be the one answer. And I had a very urgent passion to solve this problem by promoting access to solar power and promoting access to climate education. And that was how it all started. That was how this passion started. A passion to solve the problem of climate change and a passion to promote access to electricity so that people and persons like my parents can benefit from that. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Because when you have access to energy, you have access to electricity, the possibilities of having businesses, the fact that you can actually have certain things that could even help you your everyday living. So
yes, okay, yes.
So I mean, just looking at that alone, I'm like, because when you don't have electricity, when you don't have access, you at times can be exploited because of the things that you don't have. And you can be a victim to some ills of society that are out here because it's always dark. So, if it's always dark, then you can have criminal activity, a whole lot of criminal activity.
A lot. And thank you. I like that you pointed that out. I think I need to paint a little picture so that the people who are listening to me could understand what it looks like, right? It's very access to electricity supports economic growth a lot more than you can think of. But if you have never been without electricity, you would not really understand how it looks like. Now, there are lots of small businesses that operate in Nigeria. These small businesses must use electricity for their work. And so you find that most of these small businesses do not make it eventually because they run out of funds from purchasing petrol for diesel, from purchasing diesel for their generators, electricity generators. So I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it's very popular in Nigeria where each person, each business, each home has a generator. This generator works with a diesel, petrol. It works with petrol. Do you know what is a petrol?
Yes, I'm familiar with diesel.
Thank you a lot. Diesel, good. So it's very expensive to buy diesel to run your business 24/7, or at least for a bigger part of the day, right? And so you find that businesses are not able to retain their income. So after most of the income goes into purchasing diesel because of the constant power outages, and it is worse in areas where there isn't the grid at all. By grid, I mean the utility, government electricity, right? And so this causes a lot of job losses because small businesses who employ the larger number of people can no longer sustain their business due to lack of money. They have used all the money to buy diesel for the generator. And so you see this repeating across several places in the state, businesses shutting down, people losing jobs, more families thrown into poverty just because of this one thing, access to electricity. And I like that you talked about ills in the society, areas that are usually dark. Indeed, this is very true. You can see it in most small communities where we have done some work in a community where we installed a street light, a solar-powered street light. The people, I didn't know this was a problem, but the people of the community told me that before we put the street light in that village, there were a lot of criminal activities in the corner. Why? The place is dark always. It's always dark, right? And so it encouraged a lot of criminal activity, a lot of cults activities, a lot of crime, and then people getting robbed in the areas, people getting raped, people getting molested. And I was really excited at what just one solar street light could achieve in a village, right? Just one solar street light in a village helps the women who were selling things at the night market to be able to market their goods. Before that time, they couldn't market their goods at night. They had to go in. And so you see how just access to electricity can promote a lot of economic development and a lot more money made by the women who sell their market at night because they could have some time to sell a little bit longer. So the impact is really several. And that's the work I've been trying to do in all this time. But thank you for pointing that out.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Because, you just look at it and you see, okay, I just put one light here and look how much it can illuminate and look how much time people can now spend, promoting their businesses. And now, they're to a point where, hey, they're not bound by a clock per se. They're not bound by, okay, let me pack up shop because now the sun is getting ready to go down. So yeah, thank you for that, because at the end of the day, that's what people need. Because it's like that here in the States. Where there's darkness, you get a lot of crime. But as soon as you light up the streets, you light up the block, then that crime ends up going some other place.
Exactly. And even for religious people who might be listening, even the Bible said it that in the presence of light, darkness cannot exist. And
Exactly.
it's just how it lays down here too. It says that light, it pursues away darkness, and that's just it. Yes. So thank you for saying that too.
Oh, hey, no problem. Mm-hmm. So hey, let's go back. Let's rewind a little bit. Can you tell us how did you get the Mandela Fellowship and how did you end up coming to Delaware?
Oh, thank you for that. And so the Mandela Washington Fellowship Program, like is an initiative, a flagship program of the Young African Leaders Initiative started by President Obama, right, to invest in an outstanding group of young African people from Africa who have demonstrated leadership and bringing solutions to problems in Africa. And so it was very interesting because at the time I heard about it, I was rounding up a project that I had done for rural women in a rural area. So in Nigeria, when you complete your university education, you get posted to a community for 1 year to serve. It's like the Peace Corps in America. So in Nigeria, it's called the National Youth Service Corps. And so I was posted to a rural community where I found a lot of widows who were really, really poor. And I also saw that in this community, there was a lot of farming activities going through, and they had cassava in abundance. Cassava is a staple food in Africa and in Nigeria, which, if when processed, it could lead to the provision of other types of food. This community has this cassava in abundance, and I'm thinking, why aren't they processing their cassava so that they could be employed in the several value chains of cassava? And I started a pet project, a widows initiative, where my goal was really to empower these people, because it ties into one of my major life goals, to be a positive part of people and provide support anywhere I find myself. And that was how I built a cassava factory in this community, which provided jobs for all 200 widows along the value chains of cassava processing. So the women were employed, and that was my joy. These women could initially not feed, they could initially not send their children to school, but from the little money they made from the factory, they were able to begin to do these things. And so that project I did, I was trying to round it up when a friend told me that there was an application opened up for a President Obama's initiative, and that she thought that the project I had done for the widows, where I also taught them about climate change and some of the things they did that promoted climate change, I just trained them with the knowledge. So she said, Glory, I think you should apply because your project ties into it. And when I looked at the application, I was very afraid at first because it was very, very hectic. If you didn't have the experience, there was no way you could answer the questions. But it really motivated me to want to do more, because the promise that comes with the application was something I wanted. The opportunity to go to the US for the first time, opportunity to network with all the other young leaders from other African countries, opportunity to network and meet people like you in Delaware, right? And so I was so excited to fill out the application. And there were 80 1,000 applicants from Africa, and only 500 people were to be selected. I tried the first year, I didn't make it, but the second year I tried, I filled out my program. I talked about how I had empowered people in rural areas. I talked about how I had taken actions to solve a problem that yielded positive results. And I made it the second year, and it was such an exciting thing to be posted to University of Delaware to learn about civic leadership and civic engagement, where I could see how other people were taking action for community growth, just like the kinds of things you are doing, Brother Leon, and the kinds of things that other people were doing that I met in the US. And that was just the process to it. It was more about how did you solve a problem in your community, and how did this problem yield positive results, your solution? Yeah. So that was it. Hope I answered your question.
Well, yeah, you did, because I look back and I just say, wow, man, it's just amazing how you guys came from there. You came here to learn, but then you also end up going back, and then some of you even came back again.
Yeah, I came back again the next year myself.
Yeah, so I'm just glad to. Let me give you some applause for that. Because you are definitely, Glory, making a difference, because it's so important. It's so important that the God-given drive that God gives you, that drive that God gives you, that inspiration that God gives you, that motivation that God gives you, we have to begin to use it, to turn other people's lives around. Because I really believe that, God doesn't just give you wisdom and knowledge and passion for yourself. He gives it so that you can help other people in communities. And then your greatest joy, your greatest treasure will come out of that. And that's what I see with you.
That's right. That's absolutely true. Yes. And I'm happy to be able to use my talent and gift to inspire other people, and just as God would have wanted it as well.
Yes. So, hey, tell me about your book. I'm really excited about that. When did you come up with the concept for your book?
Oh, so thank you for mentioning that. Yes, it's actually a non-fiction book, though. So it's a non-fiction. Did you say how I came up with the character for my book?
No. I said the concept. I said how did you write your book? How did you come up with the concept?
Oh, okay. Thank you. It's and so you see, being in the solar sector, I saw a lot of opportunities that could come about, and I also knew that there aren't enough job opportunities in Nigeria. But in the solar sector, I saw how a lot of people could create jobs for themselves. This is because there is a lot of attention to Africa for solar power. That is because Africa has the largest number of people without access to electricity. And so there's a lot of incredible investment opportunities coming into Africa and coming into Nigeria to develop solar power projects. And so I thought that I should write a book about how people could key into these opportunities. And I wrote about how to make money from solar. By teaching other people about solar, by all these years of talking about climate change, I could easily see, I've conducted a lot of researches, I've gone to a lot of international trainings, I've been to a lot of fellowships. Last year I was in Cape Town in South Africa, in the university there, where I learned about solar power regulation, renewable energy regulation, energy access regulation, and even electric vehicles. I learned about electric vehicles. And see, it's a whole new world of opportunities. It's time for Africa to stop thinking about obstacles. Africa is always saying, oh, we're not ready, but we're not ready yet for this. It's the reason why we have not really made a lot of progress, because the people are looking for excuses. I believe that people should look at solutions. People should review and see how something can work. And so if there are some obstacles preventing something from working, what are the things? What are the enablers? Can you look for the enablers? There are always little enablers. Those enablers, you can empower it. You can invest in it to come up with a whole new different solution. And so I decided to talk about this in a book. I wanted to help people see the opportunities in the solar power sector to provide access to electricity to numerous people who are without access. And so the promise of the book is, if you read this book, you could understand up to 20 different ways that you could reach people with solar power, 20 different business ideas within the solar power sector, 20 different niches that you could start as a business to promote access to electricity. And these are the things that are within the value chain of solar and within the context of our country, within the context of Africa. And that was how I decided to write the book, and it's been getting a lot of positive attention at the moment, right? Because people want to people want other sources of income which could give them an extra money. People also lack access to electricity, and they're looking for solar options. And so my book is bringing an answer to both the demand and the supply, teaching you how you can solve this problem and make money in the process. So that was how the concept came about.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, let me give you some applause on that. Because you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head about multiple streams of income. Because, when you have multiple streams of income, you're not just limited to just one stream. You have multiple streams of income that can help you live a better life, that can also open doors for you, doors of access, doors of potential, doors of purpose, because you have, multiple sources of income. Let me ask you this, because here in the States, solar panel installation is big here. Is it growing in Nigeria?
Oh, did you say it's what in the U.S. is big?
Yeah, it's big. It's solar panel installation. It's so many companies that's doing that right now here. Is it the same in Nigeria?
Oh, no, it's not the same in Nigeria. Yes, you're absolutely correct, because the U.S. is making a lot of policy and plans to move forward and advance in renewable energy, and stop and step away from the use of fossil fuels, right?
Yes.
So in Africa, we're just entering into it. In Nigeria, there is a lot of attention and awareness right now at the moment that we speak. It is only just now that it's beginning to try to get mainstream. A lot more people still use fossil fuels for transport and for electricity. But solar power is just in the last 4 years that a lot of attention started coming to solar power for electricity in Nigeria. And that is because a lot of opportunities for investment began to come into Nigeria. And so people began to see how they could key into the sector and support with providing access to electricity to those that lack them. And so, no, it's not yet as big. It is just trying to gain momentum right now. A lot more people are knowing about it than before.
Okay. So
Yeah.
There's definitely room for manufacturing.
Yes. You said manufacturing?
Yes, manufacturing, because you got to have somebody that knows how to manufacture the solar panels and also install them as well.
Yeah. Yes, and that's where it's going to get to very soon. So Nigeria, we do not have a lot of manufacturers. There's about there is a few people, startups, who are trying to manufacture the equipment or to assemble. Some of them started with assembling the pieces by importing the pieces, the parts, and then it's called knockdown parts, and assembling them. But a few companies have pioneered the manufacturing, and it's very, very nascent. The industry is very small and slow at this time. Instead, there is a lot of people who import the products from China. So, but I agree with you. It's until we start manufacturing that we will really get the benefits of solar power, especially because now, according to the International Energy Agency, solar power has become the lowest cost of energy. It means that solar power has become the lowest cost of electricity. So, but in Nigeria, we have not seen that reflect. The panels are still a little expensive. But this is because we still import it from all these countries. And so the whole import duties and all of that adds up to the end cost for the customer.
Yeah.
Yes, and so that is why.
Okay. That's okay. I definitely see that. So let me ask you this. What's the biggest hurdle? What's the biggest hurdle that you have ran into trying to educate people on climate change and also, answer the questions when it comes to renewable energy and green energy? What's been one of the biggest hurdles, or what's been one of the obstacles that you had to face?
Oh, okay. it's that some people do not believe that climate change is happening, and so some people in Nigeria think that Nigeria should definitely be worrying about other things aside from climate change. But a way that I've overcome that is to actually show them how climate change is happening. We are seeing the impacts of climate change in Nigeria. It is not foreign at all. We see it every day. For instance, in Nigeria currently, it is raining, but it's supposed to be Hamatan right now, but it's raining instead. There's a lot of imbalances. So what I had to do with in the beginning of my advocacy years was to convince people that it was truly happening. And so you have people who were not willing to listen, or who were not willing to listen to you because they think it's not happening. So another challenge that I faced in educating people about solar power, it was not really much of a challenge. It is that a lot more men are the ones who are interested in coming to our programs for our trainings. We hardly find women who take an interest in the subject matter. And so you found so many men come to our trainings, and you being the only woman as a teacher and having a couple of other engineers as teachers as well. So I was thinking of strategies to attract more women, because we need to achieve gender equality and push more women into the energy sector. So those were like the challenges that I faced, and I'm trying to deploy strategies every day to learn about them and to solve them.
Okay, I got to give you some applause. I got to give you that, because that's the one thing that's definitely needed. I think a lot of times, when you start actually having women come into the field and say, hey, there's money to be made, because the technology is pretty much grassroots levels, pretty much on, you starting on a dirt floor, and you could build it up, because once it starts getting off the ground, there's money for everybody. There's money for men. There's money for women. You can even get, teenage kids and college kids involved in this.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Because what I see is, you have the education, show people about it, tell people about it. Then you have the engineering side, you have the manufacturing side, but then you have to look at the maintenance side, because, stuff does break down. So you got to have somebody to come through and fix it.
Exactly. Yes.
So I so appreciate you, because, what you're doing is you're leading people to handle a problem that is present and could potentially get worse if it's not taken care of.
Yes.
So I appreciate you with that. So let me ask you this: where do you see the technology going at in the future?
Oh, you mean the solar technology?
Yes.
Oh, I think that it has a very healthy and very interesting future. And it's just going to be in a couple of years when it becomes fully mainstream, solar power. This is because climate change is increasing, and according to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, there is a target. According to the Paris Agreement, there is a target to reduce global carbon emissions down to 2 degrees. That cannot happen if we continue to use fossil fuels. It means that countries must take drastic action to cut down their carbon emissions. A way to do that very fast is to switch to cleaner energy and stop emitting carbon, right? And also to plant more trees. And so because they have to do this, it means that they have to make solar power mainstream, right? Like you said, like you rightly observed in the US, right?
Yeah.
So I think the technology is actually the future of electricity was what I said 2 years ago. But now I realize the future is now. It's no longer the future. It's actually now, because Germany, for instance, has passed a bill for 100% renewable energy. Germany is a country which has the highest percentage of renewable energy for electricity. Other than, I can't remember the percentage, but I think almost all their electricity is powered by renewables, solar power, and the wind technology. And so the world has gotten there where we have to take action for the carbon that we emit. And it's really the future of electricity, and that's where I see it heading. I see a time in Nigeria where we begin to churn out engineers who produce these panels. That's the goal of our institute, Renewable Energy Technology Training Institute. I'm hoping that I'm able to teach young entrepreneurs. Right now, we have we have trained up to 720 young Nigerians who go on to create businesses. About 35% of them have created their own businesses or running a solar industry. They've actually provided electricity for up to 1,213 homes and businesses. And so that's my own goal, is to support this initiative, is to support solar power to advance and become mainstream in Nigeria. And I wanted to address what you had said before you asked me this last question, where you talked about maintenance and repairs. Absolutely, those fall under the value chain of renewable energy, right? And so you don't just teach people about production and installation or the design. You also teach them about marketing and sales, communication, repair and maintenance, because you find that this is a value chain that this industry thrives on, right? I recently launched the Reti Virtual University. We're taking this thing online now, where a lot more people can learn about solar, because we did not want distance to be a barrier. And so I was trying to think about strategies to make things better, especially since COVID. And so we now have a university on the internet where anyone can enroll and learn marketing and sales, repair, maintenance, and just churning out young people who will solve the energy problem in Nigeria.
I got to give you some applause. I thank you for that, because you have maneuvered through COVID. You are teaching people, the ins and outs, giving them opportunity. People are able to have multiple streams of income. And not only that, you wrote a book on how to. So I just want to say thank you. I'm serious. I just want to say thank you, Glory. I appreciate you. So let me ask you this. And this is the final question. Can you leave us with some words of wisdom? Because I mean, you have learned a lot, and you've given a lot. But can I ask you one personal question? How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I'm 31 years old now.
Oh my God. I was serious. I wouldn't have thought that. You have done a lot in 31 years. You have done a lot in 31 years, more than some people have done in 60 years. So your future definitely is bright. Your future is definitely bright. No wonder I see you as an energy secretary.
Thank you so much.
Seriously.
You flatter me a lot. I appreciate your kind words.
Oh, hey, it might be flattery, but I'm serious. I see it as prophetic destiny, because you are giving people hope. Because when you educate a person, you take them out of the darkness of ignorance, and you transport them into the light of knowledge. And when a person is in the light of knowledge, they have the ability to take the shackles off, the shackles of hopelessness, the shackles of being bound by certain things. And so now you give people independence. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you.
Thank you so much.
No problem, Lord. No problem.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. How old were you when you were doing when you did the Mandela Fellowship?
Oh, I was 25 years old. 26.
26?
5 years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's been that long? Oh my God. It don't seem like it's been that long.
It was in 2015. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Oh my God. You see how much you done did since then up until now? Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. So long, yeah.
Yeah, I'm serious. I am so amazed. I am so amazed because that little bit of time, because you make the moments count. That's the one thing we got to learn about life. You got to make the moments count.
Yes, absolutely. And I also do that a lot. I try not to waste any time. I'm really very purposeful about my day, each time, each minute. I'm thinking, because time flies by so fast. You don't want to regret anything. And yes, I think we all should make our moments count indeed.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, hey, Sister Glory, can you leave us with some words of wisdom?
Of course I can. And if there's any young person or anyone at all listening to me, I think that one thing you can do to solve problems is to, figure out how to communicate your solution, the value that you want to create. Because in this present time of social media and this 21st century, this time of technology and advancement in fintech, it's important it's important to be misunderstood, yes. And it's important to craft out your knowledge or your wisdom in a presentable way and in a way that it's easier to understand. And don't be afraid to take on bigger stuff. Don't be afraid to try on bigger stuff. I'm about to actually launch a new book. I've been writing about it all this time, where I am daring people to be audacious. I'm telling people, take on stuff that is bigger than you. Chances are that two things will happen. It's either you get a no or you get introduced to something else, if not that one you wanted. So a quick example that I would want to illustrate that would be that when I returned from the US in 2015, I wrote my first book on climate change. And I was audacious enough to ask the local United States Embassy in Nigeria that I wanted President Obama to write a foreword for me, for my book. It sounded very funny that the person, the contact at the embassy had actually laughed at me. How can you say you want President Obama to write a foreword for your climate change book? So I didn't know if it was possible or not, but I dared, right? And what it led to was that I was introduced instead to the ambassador of the United States to write the foreword. So I'm trying to say, so that didn't happen eventually though, but I'm trying to say that when you dare, when you reach for something bigger, if you do not get that very big one you were going after, you would get something that is way beyond your imagination. And that way you come up the radar, and you're set apart quickly out of all the other people. My point is, try to be different. Try to do things that look really difficult, because in your attempt to try to do it, you actually learn a lot more about yourself, your character is improved upon, and you get better than your peers. Eventually, this opens a lot of doors for you because you have received training on how to surmount challenges by taking that very step. So that would be my words of advice. Thank you.
Oh, hey, thank you. So, Sister Glory, how can people find your book? How can people get a copy of your book?
I can leave the links with you. We have soft copies. We do have physical paperback. We also have soft copies of the book. But I could leave the link with you. It's not something I can call out now, but it's it's hosted on a platform where people can purchase soft copies, which I can send to you later on if that's okay. Or what do you think?
Okay. Yeah. Definitely send me the link. And what I'll do is I'll include the link when I upload this episode. So this episode will be on Facebook, Instagram. It'll also be on iTunes, Spotify, any place where people can get podcasts and listen to podcasts. That link will be attached to the description. Okay. Yeah, that link will be attached to the description, as well as, the description of this episode of today. So I just want to say thank you. Yeah. Oh yeah. My goal is to make sure that your name and your book are out here so that people can see what you do, but also read your thoughts and your wisdom. So that's the goal.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, hey, no problem. Yeah. No problem, Sister Glory. Let me give you some applause. So, hey, I know we got to definitely coordinate something again, but I would definitely like to have you on again so that we can talk about how you are making a difference in the lives of women in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that would be awesome. I also would want to come back next time to talk a little bit more. Yeah. Yes. I would appreciate that.
All right. Mm-hmm. You have yourself a blessed day.
Thank you, Leon. Thank you so much for this platform and what you're doing. I went to the website and it's so really good. Please keep it up. Please don't give up. Thank you for providing a platform for people like me and for young people around the world. Very well done to you yourself.
Oh, hey, no problem. I think the one thing I'm excited about, you're my first international guest.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I think we should give you an applause. Let's give you an applause.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are the first. So yeah, we are taking this show international.
Wow, that's really nice. Thank you.
So hey, you have yourself a blessed day, and I look forward to talking with you again.
And you too, and it was such a great time spent today. I appreciate it.
Oh hey, no problem. You be blessed, okay?
Thank you so much, Leon.
All right. Thank you, Glory. All right.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, that was Sister Glory. So, hey, I want you guys to pick up her book. What I'm going to do is I'm going to include the link in the description as well as, the bio that she puts out as well. So you guys are going to have access to it. Get the book. Also look her up online, see what she's doing, because I'm going to tell you, where there's glory, you will have deliverance.
Walk in the truth that makes you free every day. Follow Brother Leon on all social media outlets.